Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast for our final segment of the day, where we just talked about the Patriots side of this matchup between them and the Cincinnati Bengals, and how it's this massive, fun, exciting moment for a young team under a new head coach that is hoping to find a new identity for themselves. On the other side of this, you have a Bengals team that has been to the AFC Championship game in 2 of the past 3 years, that has dealt with injuries last year and feels like they should be ramping up back towards Super Bowl contention, and instead they suffer a pretty embarrassing loss at home against a Patriots team where their over-under line, according to Vegas, was something like 3.5 games. And that's who you just lost to. That is a very tough way to begin the season. Now, I will say this, there was definitely a lot of noise with the Bengals within the past couple weeks, and within the offseason to some degree. You have the likes of the T. Higgins situation that really kicked it off, considering the fact that he ended up getting franchise tagged and was hoping for a more lucrative long-term deal. They weren't able to agree to any sort of an extension there. Jamar Chase has been holding out of practice in the past few weeks as he looks for a new contract. Trey Hendrickson as well at one point during the offseason requested a trade, so it hasn't exactly been all sunshine and flowers for the Bengals throughout the course of the offseason. And I do think that can tend to have a very real effect on how teams begin the season. That if you start dysfunctional, that dysfunction has a great chance to sort of spill into the regular season. But it's a matter of a question of, do you think that the Bengals can sort of get this back together? And I think it starts and ends really with Joe Burrow. And I am going to defend Joe Burrow because I think that a lot of people are now sort of chalking this up as, oh, Joe Burrow isn't good enough. See what happens when you take away T. Higgins and they lose Tyler Boyd as well during the offseason, that when you don't have, 3 top-end wide receivers, then what can you do? I hear you on that, and that is a storyline that I'm not fully ready to dismiss. Now, I think that Joe Burrow is better than that, and I think he's going to show that, but it's at least a theory that could definitely come into existence, but I don't think that that's what this game was about at all, really. Joe Burrow, I don't know how much more he could have done. He was 21 of 29 in this game, 164 yards, but he really wasn't getting much at all from his teammates. The running game was non-existent for a lot of the game. That was sort of the concern when they decided to move on from Joe Mixon, and they did it for money-saving purposes, and it's probably something that in the long run can benefit them in terms of being able to, pay somebody like a Jamar Chase and a Joe Burrow at the same time. But they didn't even really trust Zach Moss all that much in this game. Just 9 carries, only 3 carries as well for Chase Brown. So you're talking about 12 handoffs in the entire game. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Patriots had 32 handoffs. So a massive difference there. Again, also the fact that they weren't having that much success with it either. So then they were sort of having to settle into second and longs and third and longs, and they just never really were able to even have the flexibility to develop a rhythm there. But on that same point, Joe Burrow, he was trying to make these plays on third and long, and the Patriots defense was, I thought, really impressive. Now, you can definitely put that on the Bengals offensive line as well. I happen to think that the Patriots have an underrated defensive front, so sort of choose with that what you will. They definitely needed to do a better job of protecting Burrow for whatever it's worth as well, considering the fact that he's coming back from this wrist rehab that kept him out for the final part of last season. And you know what? I mean, there were a couple plays Burrow was running himself. There was that one play he scrambled out to the right and made a throw downfield that I thought was pretty impressive. They mentioned on the broadcast that he was hoping to add a little bit more of that dynamicism to his game that you see, obviously, the Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jacksons, Josh Allens of the world that can make these plays on the move. Joe Burrow, when it gets to that out of structure type of play, I think that the confidence level is maybe a little bit lower in comparison to some of those other elite quarterbacks. But, I don't think that Joe Burrow had a chance really to do all that much more. Now, I know sounds like I'm making excuses here, but I just overall don't think that the Bengals coming into this situation, knowing that Jamar Chase hasn't been practicing for them, that they were going to be without T. Higgins, this just didn't really feel like it was going to be a great offensive game for them, and it wasn't. And Burrow, I'll give him a little bit of a pass, I suppose, for now. That being said, he is going to need to prove himself a little bit more moving forward because now he has these doubters, supposedly. I mean, this is somebody that I think he's firmly in that second tier of quarterbacks in terms of, I think Mahomes is on his own tier, and then I think it's Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen following after. But you see the special playmaking ability of Lamar on last Thursday when he's picking everything up on the ground, the offense a little bit stagnant, a little bit out of flux. He's able to overcome that and keep the Ravens in the game. And then Josh Allen as well. They faced an early deficit against the Cardinals this weekend, and he ran crazy against them. Every time it got to the red zone, felt like if Josh Allen is going to drop back and then scramble, there isn't anybody in the vicinity of him, and he's just way too athletic to give him that much space. Burrow isn't that same level of an impressive, foot speed athlete like that he is a little bit disadvantaged in those conversations. And that's something that he is going to try and work on. The offense also needs to do a better job of giving him structure because that is when he's incredible. And I think he's, just about as talented as everybody else. I hesitate to put anybody, he's just as good as Patrick Mahomes because I do think Mahomes is, sort of head and shoulders, just clearly the number one amongst everybody else. But Burrow, when he has time to dissect the defense, and it's not like he needs all day because I don't think he's a system quarterback or anything like that, but his skill set is a little bit more in structure, and he thrives there as opposed to a Josh Allen where Josh Allen's great, and I thought that he showed development in terms of being able to put together methodical drives last year, but it's not like Josh Allen. I would take Joe Burrow if you take out the scrambling ability, and that's a stupid conversation, so I should probably just nix it as I say it, but, if you're just giving me two quarterbacks that you say you have to stand in the pocket and make plays, I have as much confidence in Joe Burrow as basically anybody else in the NFL. So I think that he deserves a little bit of, not a pass, not a mulligan, but just taking that into consideration and say, the Bengals need to look themselves in the mirrors and sort of do some reflections on what took place in this game. Because I thought that their defense, the fact that they were able to get pushed around so much, especially in the run game, by a Patriots team that isn't all that talented on the offensive line. Like I mentioned, on the Ramondre side of this, 120 carries, 118 of them yards after contact. I think that that's what Ramondre is sneakily one of the best at in the NFL, that he doesn't get the public recognition for. That being said, if you're the Bengals, got to wrap up. You got to tackle. And also part of it, so defensively, I thought that was definitely a concern. Got some pressure on Jacoby Brissett, sure, but also didn't finish off the job most of the time. Brissett could have easily been sacked more than one time in that game, but they just sort of let him be able to make plays with his legs, which is something that he's never really done in his career. And then I also feel like the other side of this is like, some bounces just didn't go their way at the end of the day. Mike Gesicki, it looked like, he was surely confident that he caught that pass in the second quarter in the back of the end zone, but he ends up dropping that, and then Tanner Hudson fumbles at the goal line that goes from 7 points there to 0. And then very shortly after that as well, you have a fumbled punt at the beginning of the third quarter. That's another 3 points right there. So all of these things just sort of added up. I don't even think that Joe Burrow necessarily got all that many opportunities to be able to, fully shine and be the guy that the Bengals needed to put the team on his shoulders. Now, he would definitely say himself that he needs to be better, and he could have absolutely been better, because it's not like he was excellent in this game by any means, but I don't think he was the reason why they lost. I think that that's something that, yes, as the quarterback of a team that only scored 10 points, you are going to get the blame there, but I feel like they also sort of hand-wrapped a number of other opportunities to the Patriots that left a feisty team so hungry to try and prove themselves an opportunity to go out and win it. And that's the thing is, if that Gesicki touchdown scores, or if Hudson doesn't fumble there and the Patriots aren't able to just sort of sit comfortably and play with the lead, I think it's a way different game. It's a way different approach from the Patriots, and I just don't know that I have the same level of confidence in them. But ultimately, they were able to jump out to a 13-0 lead and just sort of milk the clock and play the clock management game a little bit from there. But ultimately, I'm not panicking if I'm the Bengals. It's a tough loss, 100%, and it's something that, again, they're going to need to reflect on. Now, they will get T. Higgins back, it sounds like, next week, which is going to be huge because they're going to 100% need the offense as they go on to face the Chiefs in Kansas City next week. So a lot of room to grow for Cincinnati, but ultimately I'm not too worried about their overall ability to recover from this. But if you have more strong doubts than I do, let me know why in the comment section, because I would definitely be curious to hear. Not that I'm definitely not ruling out that they're in a tough division, and a lot of people picked them fourth. I myself didn't, but we'll have to see there. But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for tuning into the GSMC Sports Podcast. Thank you very much to the GSMC Sports Network for allowing us to host this show. Remember to like, follow, subscribe wherever you keep up with us. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section as well. Also, you can check us out on social media for more exclusive short content, but we will be back tomorrow afternoon to talk more about this week in the NFL and more at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So we will see you then. Take care. Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.